All right, Corinne, welcome to Empowered Network TV. Super excited to be doing this, talking about the secret keepers. And what the heck is that? I want to hear all about it. So first of all, welcome here. We've been chatting a bit. We've messaged a few times and you just got back from LA. I just arrived in LA. So you guys were at some kind of conference,
We
workshop?
were. We were at the 70th birthday celebration for Joseph McClendon III,
Yep.
who is the founder of the Neuroencoding Institute.
Okay.
And
Cool.
we were having a graduation celebration along with a birthday celebration for him. So it
Oh,
was
very cool.
good fun. Good fun.
Okay, very. Did you eat any good food?
Yeah, we did. We had a
Yeah.
good meal. We did. And while we were in LA, lots of good food. Lots
Uh,
of good. It's
I
all
would
good.
ask, did you have good conversations? But I know that's obviously a yes.
It's never enough time. It's never enough time with my neural encoding family. It's like it flies by so quickly. And what I love is that it's so multi-talented, multifaceted. So even though we come together as coaches and we have this common aspect of it,
Hmm.
everybody else brings something else to the table. So it's always good fun.
Well, let's do a little quick plug for neuroencoding. So I know there's a number of people that are in this. So let's talk about what makes that place special.
It's everybody. It's everybody that's involved in it, from our mentor Joseph to our coaches that we have that are coaching us coaches. The environment is just so real. It's a place where you can be your authentic self,
Hmm.
and I love that. It's just a good
Yeah.
place.
You don't have
Yeah,
to pretend, you don't have to act, you can just be you.
you show up how you are. It's um, I love that. I love being in a space where and everybody's heart is to serve, to be
Hmm.
of some sort of service. So it's really a great place to be.
I've only ever heard good things from that organization. So
That's awesome.
awesome. Okay, well
Good.
let's jump into then what you do. What is the Secret Keepers? Let's get right to it. What is that for those that are
Okay, so the Secret Keepers is a podcast I'm working on launching. And what it's going to be about is um, we, as especially as women, and it's not just women because men keep secrets too. But what happens is collectively we've been keeping secrets inside of us that ultimately can cause physical harm to our bodies. So by not expressing ourselves or not talking about the things that have happened to us or the things that we're feeling, we continue to just stuff them down and put the smiles on our face and be nice and pleasing and serving. And in that, we create havoc in our body, whether it be from an emotional level, the mental level, losing that connection with ourselves, or really on that physical level where we start to experience physical manifestations of dis-ease in our body.
in there, Corinne? I'm still working through that, learning to. So for people that know, they know that they're not letting the authentic self out. Where do they begin with that? Because that is like a quagmire. That's how many layers are we talking, right? And that can seem really scary. So where do they start?
It's really with your thoughts. So, I was reflecting on my own personal journey that started, gosh, like 22 years ago, and um, the growth process of that, and in the many deaths that I have died, if you will, of who I used to be and who I've become. I mean, many deaths, but it really does start with um, the thought process. And that thought usually comes in a form of there's a lack of self love. So, a lot of what I do for my personal work is working with emotions, understanding emotions. Where do emotions come from? How the thought triggers the feeling that causes us to take the action or not take the action, and then ultimately getting the results that we get in life. And um, it's really an interesting journey in that when when we feel things like procrastination or self-loathing or self-doubt, it makes it more difficult for us to step into fully being authentic, right? So if I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see and I don't love myself, I'm going to go out in the world and project a lot of that out onto others that, you know, if I don't like me, how can I like you? Because we reflect, right? We reflect. So it starts here.
And there's no referee like that's holding our feet to the fire to go, hey, you're offside here, Amos. You're not loving yourself. It's like it's self-governance. And I know personally, it's easy to cover over things that I should be letting out and not express them because no one's gonna make me express my stuff.
Right. Well, and you get to, right? I think we see this a lot in our society as to what things should look like. So for myself, you know, 22 years ago, I sat on the bathroom floor sobbing, contemplating taking my life while my husband is like, I can't help you. And he was right. He couldn't help me. I needed to help me. I needed to be able to step forward and say, listen to that little guiding voice inside of me that was saying, pick up the phone and call your friend, you know? And so that's exactly what I did. And there isn't, you know, we do have the voices, but we have competing ones, right? We have our intuitive voice, our soul level voice. And then we also have the outside voices that we take in as our own. And I call those the inner critic. Right? The inner critic's voice can get very loud. Mine, her name is Nancy. I've named her now. So when she starts talking crap to me, I'm like, sit down, Nancy, I got this. Okay. So, because she does, and she can get pretty loud. And no matter how much work you do on yourself, unless you take the reins, unless you are the one that says, I'm driving, that the inner critic can win, right? And that really it is. It's a thought process. And our mentor, Joseph, will say, you know, kill the baby before it's a monster. And what he means by that is take that thought immediately, that bad thought, and we interrupt that pattern and then give it a new face and then celebrate yourself, because that's often missing, because people are like, oh, that's boastful, that's braggy, you know, that's, I can't celebrate me. And it's like, if you can't celebrate you, who can celebrate you? I'm like, stand up, pat yourself, shake your booty, you know. And that's been so fun too, right? It's all about that. It's like, yes, I freaking rock. I can look in the mirror now and say that. You know, I would tell students that. I would be like, I freaking rock. And they're like, you're so weird. High school kids, right? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I really honestly believe that most of the time. Now, do I still have, you know, Nancy, does she show up? Yes. And then Nancy and I get to have court. You know, I get to decide. She doesn't get to decide when we meet.
Oh, tell us about this court. I get to have court with Nancy. What is this?
Yes. Okay. So I learned this from another mentor, and he, instead of allowing your inner critic to take over, you get to hold court, right? So sometimes the inner voice has some valid concerns, like maybe you're putting too much on your plate, that kind of thing, right? So that's valid. But they don't get to wake you up at 2 a.m. to have these conversations. They don't get to do it right before bed. They don't get to do it when you're about to step out on stage, right? This is not the time for the conversation. And you get to say, like I say, Nancy, you know, Nancy, tomorrow is court, you know, tomorrow morning at, you know, 7 a.m. we're going to meet about this and we'll talk about it then, right? And so that's where meditation comes in, right? We're going to sit down, we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to journal it out. And it's like, you know, sometimes, you know, Nancy can have really good concerns, like, don't step out in the street, Corinne, because that's dangerous, right? Look both ways. Okay. Thank you. Right. Thank you for reminding me not to overschedule myself, because when I do, that leads to burnout. Thank you for reminding me that my self-care is important. You know, that's a valid concern. But when she's nitpicking, or she's like, oh, you got a hair out of place, or your lipstick doesn't look right, or that outfit makes you look fat, or, you know, when she starts talking kind of smack, no.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so what are you up to in the world then? Because you said a few things. You said like high school students. What's going on there?
Okay, so I used to work for and up until 4 years ago, I worked with high school kids. And I loved that, but I felt a calling. I felt a strong calling to step out more into the world and to serve women in general. I wouldn't say that's, I wouldn't ever turn anybody away, but my life experience lends me to, I'm a mom, I have 3 grown children, um, but the specialty area of me, my life experience aspect of it is working. I work with childhood trauma, and I don't like to, it's not where I focus, right? It's having that knowledge and that understanding of what childhood trauma does to us, what it takes, the steps to heal it, right? So again, the thought processes that go along with that. Um, working specifically with teens, that leaves me, I'm super empathetic, so like super empath. And when I was working directly with the kids, I wanted to bring them all home.
I bet a bunch of them would want to come home because some of their family situations aren't exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And I just have that ability to, because I have, like I said, I have had many deaths of self, but in my journey has really provided me my life experience, the ability to discern. Like I can see things, both sides of the fence. I can really see people. I really believe I was put on this planet to love people, to bring love and light here, and doing that through healing emotions, right? So emotional wellness, you know, inner peace, deep forgiveness work, self-love, that's really where my focus is. In like I said, if somebody comes to me and they want me to be their person to serve, I believe that there's kind of it's like a predestined thing that those who are supposed to find me in this life will find me, and I'll be the one to help them on that journey, just as I have found my mentors. And I know that can sound a little new agey, maybe a little out there, but my experience has really, it really has proven that to me, that that everything you need is inside of you, and I am a conduit. I'm a connector. I connect you back to you, to your authentic self, to finding that peace, finding the whatever your more is, right? Whether it's more joy, more abundance, more health, more time, more freedom, whatever it is that you're looking for. That's what I do. Yeah.
Which means you're doing it for yourself. I find it's fascinating that I can only teach as far as I've gone. Where I have not gone yet, I can't teach.
Right. Right. And that's true. Yes. And I have walked these journeys. So quite interestingly is sometimes I feel like I have a fascination with death, right? It can feel like that. But what it really is that there's a new emergence. Like I've gone through another transformation cycle and I've up leveled. So it is a new version of me. And it can be really scary. I used to pride myself on saying, I love comfortable. I'm a water sign. And so, I'm just nurturing. I love comfy. And I've learned that there's good comfortable, and then there's comfortable that's not so good, right? So if I'm always in my comfort zone, I'm not growing. If I'm always in my comfort zone, I haven't stretched myself into stepping into that next evolution of me. And it's really important to me to keep evolving, because I also believe there's that, right? If we look at say the Buddha, Buddha, he went through a transformation process and then he reached enlightenment because he traveled the stages of it. All of his awareness was woken up. The same thing with Jesus, the transformation process, Jesus's purpose of spreading his light, Jesus the Christ, right? Jesus the crystalline light. He came here to spread love. And I believe that's kind of the same evolution in that, right? Is to help people create their own miracles. So it's a miracle really is a shift in perception. So I help people shift their perception so it raises their awareness so they can make different choices. And that is a journey that I have walked myself over and over and over again through my own breakdown, through losing my dad to alcohol, to losing my brother to a heart attack due to an overdose of opiates and alcohol, to losing my best friend and my mom both to cancer within, a couple months of each other. Having traveled the journey that I have, it's given me many perspective shifts in how I see life, what's important to me. I used to really be focused on, what other people thought about me, the material aspect of the world. That's not the case anymore. It's like I said, I want to be a connect. I want to connect people back to themselves. I want to connect people to love. I want to love everybody unconditionally, which is a task in and of itself. That was a big up level for me as well. Several years ago, it was I want all of my children to be unconditionally loved. And then I had to pause and say, was I doing that? Was I going out into the world, or was I full of judgment? Was I full of disrespect and hate? Was I walking around and going, scoffing at others? And again, that comes with the thoughts, right? The thought comes in. Just because it comes in and I have it doesn't mean I have to either say the mean thing or, have the mean thought or that kind of thing. So unconditional love and just really seeing people for their whole selves and understanding that I don't know what you have going on in your life today at this moment in time. I don't know. And I don't know unless somebody tells me, right, that what's happening. And often there goes that stuffing, right? We stuff down that emotion. We stuff things. I do a talk on what's your drug of choice, right? So, I was stuffed down my emotions and I eat. Oh, I was really good at eating and watching mind numbing TV once I became a mom. Before I was a mom, I used to drink to oblivion, blackout, you name it, whatever. I was on a slippery path. But there's porn, there's gambling, there's shopping, there's being addicted to negativity, watching, negative news. And there's so many things that we do to numb rather than feel what we're here to feel. And as human beings, we're here to feel, when something happens and I'm hurt on the inside, that gives me, that hurt, that trigger gives me an opportunity to really peek under the hood, if you will, and get curious. What's really going on here? Is it the inner child that needs a good hug, or if I'm triggered and I get angry, I used to throw things and yell. Like early motherhood, I was a thrower and a yeller and a flipper outer, and I don't hardly remember her, but I know she existed. And so she's part of me. She's integrated with me. But when I learned that nothing anybody does is ever really about me, and you quit take it personally, life
Oh
is
man, I'm still learning that one. It's like, and then you see it, especially when you want to grow and you want to take that part of yourself to the cross so you can be raised properly. And then you start seeing it, it's creeping up its ugly head, and you're like, oh shit, I just got caught up in that pattern. It ain't their fault. I assign meaning to their emotional or their action, which is on me. It's not on them.
right. Yeah, we take things personally, we make assumptions, and then there's an expectation to I know, so I'm 55, I've raised my 3 kids. But from a societal point of view, there was an expectation for me to be good. Oh, and being good was really hard for me, Amos. Like I was so chatty in class. I mean, I look back at my report cards, it's like, oh, but Corinne is so pleasant, but she just chats too much. Okay, so I look back at that now and it's like, I was born to talk. There's just not a doubt about it. And it's like, okay, but I would just try to be, I would try to be so good. And then, because my sister would get in trouble. She's older. My brother would get in trouble. And I didn't want my mom and my dad to have to deal with my crap. Right. And so I got to be really good at being a secret keeper. I was sneaky. Like they had no idea what kind of stuff I was getting into. But that wasn't good either. Right. Just kind of sneaking around and pretending to be good. But all of that weight came crashing down 22 years ago on that bathroom floor, where I was like, I thought I had to do it all. I thought I had to be the best mom, and that meant making everything from scratch and doing. And I am not Holly Homemaker, right? I'm not Martha Stewart. I'm not any of those women. You and I've talked about this. I love to be outside, and my brother and I were always getting dirty as kids, and so it was this level of expectation to be a certain way. And I didn't grow up in a house where I was raised going to church. I started doing that when I met my husband. And then there was those expectations. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't mask over mask over mask. And it's not that I don't love being a mom. I love being a mom. I love my kids. I love every moment I get to spend with them. I love the fact that I was at home with them and raising them. But making things from scratch, sewing, crafting, that's not me, right? So owning that and being authentic to who you are and what does that look like? Like you said, you love Star Wars. What a great thing to be back. And I'm like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yep, we were meant to be friends. We were definitely meant to be friends. It's
Well,
pretty fun.
these are beautiful reminders you're giving us. I just love how you're talking about the death and rebirth, because I find that, you talked about Jesus, that story of Christ. It's like willingly going to let something die so something new, brand new, can be raised.
Mm.
And I find I go through that all the time, and no one can force me up on the cross. It's like I have to lay down that shit that needs to die. And sometimes it's taking me, and there's still things I'm not laying down. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to lay those down, but there is that cycle of, okay, that thing's knocking on your door, Corinne. It's knocking for 5 years, 20 years. You're like, hey, sweetie, you gonna leave this
Yeah.
with Nancy, or you gonna lower this down on the.
Yeah. Yeah. I had just recently had a mentor say to me, and this one hit me right in the chest, because I do carry a lot. I carry a lot, just for my clients, for myself, for my family. And he said to me, he's like, Corinne, even Jesus carried his own cross, only his own cross. He wasn't carrying 20 other people's crosses. He was carrying his own. It was really profound, because it was like, huh, yeah, right. So we want to take the weight of the world on and believe that we, need to do it for everybody. But the reality of it is this: everything is a you and you deal. So looking in the mirror and totally owning the fact that, first of all, the most important thing that you're ever going to know about yourself is that you are the love of your life, the first love of your life. I used to say, oh, it was my kids, or it was my husband, or, no, I am the love of my life. Do it. Look in the mirror and say it. Look at yourself and do that. It's so profound. It sends chills through my body, but to know that, then it's so much easier to bring that out to other people, because it starts here. And then forgiving you, we can carry around a lot of garbage and be like, oh, that projection of blame, right? So you made me, he made me, it made me. That's lowest level of awareness. You're projecting that blame out. But as we start to grow in our awareness, we start to look at it and go, oh, the next level is mass thinking. I'm going to think like everybody else does. And anybody that's ever met me is going to know that I don't think like everybody else. I really have a very different perspective on life. But as you grow up the level of awareness, you start to look at things differently and you start to realize I am the master of my fate, right? The captain of my soul. That's me. It's all on me. And other people can hurt us if we give them permission, right? Because if I quit taking it personally, whatever they did or said, it really isn't about me. If it was venomous, if it was full of hate, if it was whatever, it's not really about me. It's about them. Because if somebody says something hateful, that says something about who they are, not who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, beautiful, powerful. Great reminder. So let's talk about what you're offering in the world then, because what does your coaching look like? And please drop websites in the comments in this Facebook interview. I'll tag you in. So we're live right now. This will be in the group. So please drop any links in the comments after. But yeah, please, what are you offering?
Right now, I offer one-to-one coaching right now. It's the Cadillac of coaching is one-on-one time with me. I'm working on a group program right now. That's still in the works, and along with the podcast. So it's one-to-one coaching, at my website. They can make an appointment for a discovery call. That's a complimentary call, 30 minutes. There's a quiz on my website you can take. What the quiz does is it lets me know the primary area where you're not plugged in. Where do we start, right? Is it limiting beliefs? Is it money mindset? Is it emotions? What are we looking at? And it's a great quiz. I think it's a great quiz. A little bias.
Well, you gotta celebrate yourself, Corinne, right? So after I'm done interviewing you, I'm going to the bloody washroom right there. I'm gonna go and look myself in the mirror and say some really nice things to myself. I've done that maybe 4 or 5 times in my life. That's it.
Okay, yes. So here's a couple things. Okay, so it's this smile technique, right? So you're gonna look yourself in the mirror. I want you to say your name, right? So you're gonna say Amos. I say Corinne, right? Corinne, you are the love of my life, right? Look at yourself. Make sure you're looking at yourself eyeball to eyeball. Raise your eyebrows up and smile, because that smile releases dopamine and serotonin, lots of feel good, right? Lots of feel good emotion, chemicals for you to have the good emotions. Our nervous systems are so dysregulated. We're in a constant barrage of bombardment of, negativity and different things. But yes, definitely start there. That's the first step. It's here. It's all in you. Everything that you need is in you, as long as you're quiet enough to hear, right? To hear the truth. So the first answer that comes to you is usually the truth. And the rest of it that comes in is that logic brain that starts saying, how are you going to do that? Where are you going to get the money from? Well, what about this or what about that? But that first hit, usually the heart hit, that's the soul. That's the soul telling you, yes, go this way. Yes, do that. Yes, love you.
It was so good. I don't know what anyone else got out of this, but I just love what you're saying, Corinne. I needed this today. So selfishly, thank you for being you and showing up today. I love it.
Anytime, anytime, anytime.
If you have been, oh, my pleasure. If you've been listening to watching Empower Network TV today, Corinne, how do I pronounce your last name?
Zuleger.
Zuleger, reach out to Corinne and tell her what you appreciate about this. Corinne's gonna drop links in the comments of the Facebook Live after I tag her. Corinne, thanks for being such a gift today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, lovely you're here. We'll be chatting soon. And whoever invited Corinne, is it Cindy or who invited you?
Cindy. Yes, yes.
Cindy Gold, thank you for inviting Corinne. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
We shall chat soon. I'll message you after this. I'll be getting you links, okay, in the next 24 hours too.
Perfect.
Okay, ciao for
Thank
now.
you.